other side.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I'm your host, Don Fisher, having a blast as we continue this interview series. Today, I am speaking with Lynn Downey Braswell. My first time getting to speak with her, and I'm excited. I can already sense from her personality and the chatting we just had going on. So I'm sure she's going to crush it. Lynn is a professional actor, mindset mentor, and founder of Work of Art Coaching. She primarily works with creative professionals, helping them to feel safe from inside out as they create their dream relationship with the business, their craft, and themselves. As an actor, she has been seen on TV shows like Impeachment, American Crime Story, SWAT Deputy, and commercials for brands like Geico, AT&T, Ford, and more. She knows firsthand the effects that anxiety, fear, and exhaustion can have on the human spirit, but also the power that coaching, support, and a new mindset can bring. She brings warmth, wisdom, compassion, and a sense of humor to every conversation, knowing that powerful shifts can take place even in one session. With 16 years of professional experience, she's coached in many different settings and capacities before launching her coaching company, serving the creative community. Hi, Lynn.
Hi. Aw. Thanks for having me,
How
Don.
are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I'm so glad to be a part of this summit with all these incredible women and all these incredible coaches and teachers. And it's so good to be a part of the supportive community.
I agree, and that's we were chatting obviously just before. Like that's what I like. That's how I'm viewing this. Like, I get on this. Of course, I have nerves. I have my own resistance. That's me. So that people watching, I want to do the best I can to show up and pull things maybe out of you. That way, whatever you're here to share, like maybe that resonates, maybe that hits with somebody. So that's what we're here to do. So we'll jump right in. Again, I didn't mention it, but title of our series again, Mom's Movement and Mindset: How to Break Through Resistance and Transform Your Body and Mind. So number one here, or even more of a request for you, Lynn, if you could just define resistance for you in your experience and provide some examples that you've experienced from working with clients.
Absolutely. I think this is such a great step to slow down and be like, what are we even talking about here? I was thinking about resistance, and I really believe that resistance is the language of our unvoiced fears. That resistance is literally our body's job. It is our brain is doing its very best when it says, hey, how about not? Because the fears that legitimate fears that we have, that we don't recognize, that we don't tend to, they're going to come out as resistance. So I'm all about it. I think Glennon Doyle is somebody who is a writer, and she says, oh, I don't, somebody said, you never quit. She says, oh, I quit every day. I quit every day. At the end of the day, I fight hard. At the end of the day, I quit. I watch TV, I eat my snacks. And I feel like for me, I am resistant all day. Even if it's something that I really want to do, there might be a moment where I'm like, but I could just stay home and not. And I think that we'll talk more about this, but I just think that our cave person brains developed to keep us alive. And I think that when we have resistance around a goal or a dream we have now, our brains are saying, that's new, that's unknown, that might kill you. So that to me is my baseline in regards to resistance. Some examples.
Awesome.
Okay,
so let's.
please. Yeah.
I was just, let's build on that baseline then.
Right?
You mentioned fear already, and that's an overlying theme that I've seen here. If somebody, it just doesn't make sense, right? Like if somebody wants to change, like truly in their heart, why would they be afraid to do that?
I love that. I think there's a lot going on. We're not just our conscious brain. One of the things I've loved learning is that we have a lizard brain wrapped in a monkey brain wrapped in a human brain. So our oldest part of our brain back here, the amygdala, is this lizard that just is like fight, flight, or freeze, right? Like it's just like, or even fawn, another one. The fourth one is fawn, become like a sycophant and worship the thing that is scary. Fight, flight, emojis or fonts. And so this lizard part of our brain is the oldest part of our brain. It's the thing that works the best because we've had it for so long. And then we have the hippocampus, which is the monkey brain that just needs something to do. It just wants to pick at something. It just wants to go, 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 go. And that's why a mantra is so great, because the monkey part of our brain wants to think of something. And if it's not thinking of one good thing, it could think of any number of terrible, horrible things. But then the prefrontal cortex, this human part of our brain, it's so new to us in the realm of human evolution. And so basically, I like to say that we have like a Tesla. We have access to a Tesla, but we're just so used to using a golf cart that it just feels so much more normal and more natural, and it's safer. And there's only 2 pedals, and like it doesn't have all this wild technology. And so flipping in and taking ownership over the front part of our brain. Now, this is the balance. Your question was, we want to change. But I think so often that change comes from this front part of our brain. Not necessarily the front part of our brain that's like planning for the future and moving forward, but the part of our brain that's like, oh, but that would be so cool, and logically it makes sense, and I want to be stronger, or I want to start a business, or I want to do all these things. And I think we don't often slow down to really ask ourselves why. Why? Why do I want this? Why do I not want it? How can we give voice to the things that like we really desire, but why do we desire them? Because if that desire is out of alignment with the part of you that thinks you're going to stay safe and alive, most likely we're going to fight our own self. I love this metaphor in regards to that voice that says like the negative voice or the self-saboteur or the inner critic. I have a really hard time thinking that I'm fighting myself. Like, I don't like the idea that I have a negative voice in my head. Like, where's it coming from? What do I do about it? And so we've really, like, my whole thing is really working with yourself, working with your fears, working with your resistance. And so really flipping that inner critic voice on its head. And I now call that voice my inner lifeguard. That inner lifeguard is literally just trying to save my life. Unfortunately, just a huge nerd. He's got like the white nose, the sunscreen and the horrible hat and the goggles and the life vest and the inner tube, and he's just running around the beach. And like, I really need him to tell me like, there's a tsunami coming, right? Like, I need that voice of fear to be like, are you gonna stay alive? No, I shouldn't race my car 100 miles per hour because I might die. Like, probably don't do that. But that lifeguard is just as scared of an inch of water. That lifeguard is like, yeah, but you might die. You might die. So for me, knowing that I have this part of my brain that is like so in love with me that it just wants me to stay alive, that sometimes it will even don a horrible, scary mask. Like, it will be like, you're awful, you're horrible, you're stupid, it'll fail, stay safe, stay safe. I'll be like, hey, inner lifeguard, I hear you. And it's like, I know, I'm sorry. So I think it's a matter of like, there's not just the conscious going on. There's the subconscious going on. There's a lot of legitimate reasons why we don't want to go into the unknown. And I really think the more we slow down and get to know that, the better off we'll be in being able to move forward.
That's great. My next question, you just kind of led right into that. Let's play with what you were just saying though, like working with your resistance and fear as opposed to like fighting it. So what are some tips you would offer someone to do just that, to work with that resistance instead of resisting it entirely?
Completely. And I think you're exactly right that there really are tools, right? And I think the first one is slow down. It seems counterintuitive that, I want to get there, and if I get there, I got to get there faster. But I think the slowing down is a game changer because it allows us to get really intentional. It allows us to like really look around and really survey the land before we try to start building something. Because if we've got a swamp and we're going to try and build a theme park, that theme park is going to sink into that swamp, or something more specific. So I tend to work with actors and creatives, but I think that this applies to people of all ilks. I really think it takes creativity to be a human being. It takes creativity to, work with your specific budget. It takes creativity to navigate the responsibilities that a mom has on a daily basis. It takes creativity to figure out, how do I want to shift my body? How do I want to be stronger? What kind of foods do I want to eat? So a specific example from actors is, we now have to do what's called self-tape auditions. So instead of driving over to a casting director's office and auditioning in person, and maybe they have the camera, it's now our job to set up a camera, to set up the lighting, to set up the sound, to rehearse the scene, to get somebody to read the scene with us, to film the scene by ourselves, most likely in our bedrooms or spare rooms, edit that, and send it in to audition. And this was happening even pre-COVID. That is a lot of new, right? There's a lot of new going on there. So if an actor comes to me and is like, I just want to book a job, I just need to book some more work, right? Like, we think the goal is booking the work. We think the goal is getting stronger. We think the goal is having a good relationship, with our kids or something like that, or starting a business. And that is, I would say, the vision. The vision being the difference between the front, right in front of you goal. So it's setting that vision of being like, yes, I want to book a job. Yes, I want to start a business. But before that, there's a lot of stuff that I can be in charge of. And so specifically with this self-tape example, there's a lot of reasons why a person would have a lot of trepidation. And so what I would encourage people to do is slow down and make a list. I want to get to the data of it, right? And we don't even want to make a list. We don't even want to open our journals. Like, there will be resistance to even doing that. So, I guess the first part is expect resistance. Expect it. Build it in to the process. If you're somebody who wants to go get stronger, like, expect yourself to be like, I don't want to put on my shoes. I don't want to drive over to that gym. Like, just be like, yeah, I've already started working out. The moment I start complaining about it is the moment that I've started. For us, and again, in like self-tapes, it's like, but I don't want to learn how to do this. I just want it to be different. It's like, yeah, great. You've already started. So even the slowing down of expecting there to be the resistance. And then the next, tool would be, get out a piece of paper and get out a timer. We have this sense in our minds of like, but if I get out a piece of paper, I'll be writing for an hour. It's like, no, 5 minutes. Put 5 minutes on the timer and you can command yourself. I'm going to sit down and write for 5 minutes. And you can do it on your computer or with a piece of paper or with a pad. So you start writing, what are all the reasons why I don't want to do this? Get them out. Let's just talk about them, right? I don't know how to run a camera. I don't know how to use my phone in that way. I don't know how to get good sound. I don't know how to get good lighting. I don't know. Like, there is probably a lot of I don't know, right? Not only that, there's probably, maybe it won't work, right? What if I go to the gym for 5 days a week and I hurt myself? What if I go to the gym 5 days a week and nothing changes, right? Like, just giving ourselves permission to be like, it might not work, right? Am I going to be wasting my time? I should have known this already. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to happen quickly, right? These are all legitimate things. And then looking at that list and being like, is this logical? Like, yeah, I don't know how to work a camera. It's logical. Could this not work? Yeah. Could I spend a lot of time on this and it doesn't happen? Yeah, right? Then we start having a little bit of compassion with our brain. Then we start going like, oh, well, thank you actually for bringing this to my attention, because you're right. Like, this might not work. And then we have the opportunity to go, well, why do I want to do it? Like, there's part of me that doesn't want to do it, and it's legitimate. That has a voice, right? Like, we're a two-party system in this country. We want to hear like both sides of the story, right? So it's like, but why do I want it, right? I would really love to be stronger so that I can play with my kids and not feel exhausted. I would really love to start a business because I believe there's a way that I could serve. I really do want to create more income for myself, right? Like, these are legitimate reasons. Why am I fully capable of doing these things? Well, I've overcome things in the past, and I have the tools to learn, and maybe I know somebody who knows how to run a camera that I could ask, right? Like, we start recognizing, oh, wait, I couldn't even think to get creative while I was just stuck in this fear and in this no. then it opens up all of our like ways of moving forward. So I mean, I really am a big fan of planning for the resistance, slowing down, sitting down and looking at it, kind of even talking to your resistance. You could start with like, dear resistance, it's Lynn. Why don't you want to write today? I don't understand. You and now, right? Please let me know, love Lynn. Dear Lynn, hi, it's resistance. This is terrifying. I don't know how it's gonna go, right? This could be really bad. And you are so cool that I don't want you to think of yourself as not doing a good job. So what if we just didn't do it? Love resistance. Dear resistance. Oh, okay, I hear you, right? Like you start getting in dialogue. There's a couple of other things that we can talk. I have a few more tips to talk about, but I'd love to actually just hear from you, Don. Like, what do you get from that? Does that make sense to you?
I love that because I say to my clients all the time, like your resistance, I refer more so as your ego, I believe is separate from our like authentic true self. And it's like this battle all day long, like the ego saying, no, don't do that because that's gonna, make you step outside of your comfort zone. But I want to do it though, because I believe I can do this. And it's just like this back and forth. And the ego can be so powerful. But it's also been my experience that the more that we allow our authentic self to take charge, I should say, the more we feed that the stronger that our authentic self gets. And then that's the one that comes out to play more, as opposed to the ego. So I don't know if you want to expound on that,
I
if
mean,
like
I
you
love
can relate
that
to that
too.
at all, but
Yeah, I totally can. And I think for me, that sense of like, I get scared even when it's like, well, my ego's battling and my best self is battling. It's like, who's gonna win? And just it seemed like, okay, well, what if this is a little different? Like, what if my ego is my fears? And like, what if fears are just little children that need to be cared for? And my higher self is the only one that can care for them, right? Like, I've noticed too that a lot of times when I'm working with someone specifically, in an acting situation, like sometimes our child self, maybe that fear, that ego, that child self is in charge of something that is way too hard for them. I've noticed for myself that like booking the job, dealing with money, dealing with my fears around money, insurance, these sort of adult things. If I'm like really tense about it, maybe I've put that responsibility onto the child self part of me, right? Even like driving a car, even driving the car of our life. If my child self's in the driver's seat, oh gosh, they're freaking out. They're like, oh man, what is that? And I don't know how to, oh my, I can't touch the brake. I can't, right? So it's my job, like Elizabeth Gilbert would say in Big Magic. She says, fear can come on the road trip with me, but it's not going to drive the car. And so it's my job as my higher self, as my adult self, to say, I'm going to make some decisions. I'm going to take care of my money, like specifically for actors or even entrepreneurs, like, hey, you don't have to take care of my needs. I'll take care of my needs. I'll get a second job. I'll use my savings. I'll ask for help. I'll get a loan, right? You don't have to succeed wildly and take care of my needs. I will take care of my needs. What I need you to do is be creative. I need you to play. I need you to have fun. I need you to look for opportunity, because that's what that child self, that's their job. And so taking that child self out of the driver's seat and being able to be like, all right, I'm in charge because I want to be, and I'm going to take care of my child self. I'm going to take care of this part as I go and explore. Like, to me, there's just even okay. There's multiple parts of ourselves that we're like, how do I work with this versus feeling like I'm working and fighting against it? And if I'm getting those messages of like, hey, I want to battle you, it's like, okay, that's funny. Okay, you're cute, right? And just not taking the bait and sort of letting the situation kind of settle a little bit.
so would you say it's kind of like, I guess in a way, like taking your power back?
Yeah, I feel like that's a beautiful way of saying it. And that is such a deep thing, because we first have to recognize we actually have power. And there's a lot of reasons that we feel we don't have power. There's a lot of legitimate reasons where we've received those messages. And I think a lot goes into it. Our family of origin, our society, the structures that are in place, racism, sexism, the patriarchy, all these different, even church, even a place that's supposed to be a really healthy spiritual place, that was part of my journey of learning, like, that sense of, oh, okay, wait, no, God is big and God has power. Well, then does that mean I don't? We think very dualistically instead of being like, wait, no, who am I? Who just outside of what culture has told me, what my parents have told me, what my teachers have told me, how can I take ownership? And even within my journey in my spiritual context of taking back that ownership of being like, no, God gave me. God gave me, and I have authority over my own life. And that was like a 3 or 4 year journey, even to just be like, what does that even mean? I have authority over my own life. And we don't have authority over what happens to us all the time. We don't always have a say over the circumstances of our life, but we always do have the ability to have authority over the experience of our life, to be able to re-navigate and renegotiate. Okay, this is happening. What do I want to think about it? How do I feel about it? What do I want to do in action? How do I want to respond to it so that I can create a result that I like, even if that circumstance comes to me? Because one of the things I've learned, Brooke Castillo is a really incredible coach, and she's created this model that I sort of said out loud to you. The circumstances of our lives create our thoughts, which then create our feelings. Our thoughts create our feelings. That was a game changer for me. That our feelings create our action. They're like the fuel to take action. And from that collection of our actions, we will get a result. And our results always prove our thought right. So it's this model that we can get stuck into. What I love about that is very often we think the circumstance creates our feeling, right? I lost my job. I feel sad. I don't have a partner. I feel abandoned, right? Instead of recognizing it's our thought about that circumstance that creates our feeling. So if I lost my job, I could think the thought, that's disappointing, but I wonder what's better, what's out there for me that's better, right? Maybe this is an opportunity. It's going to create a very different feeling than I failed miserably, I'm a failure, I did that wrong, I'll never get another job. So really recognizing that we have a say over our thoughts, that's like what you said, of taking our power back, of realizing how powerful our brains are, and that our brains are giving us thousands and thousands of thoughts a day. We have 60,000 thoughts a day. So if we're being bombarded by thoughts, totally normal. We have a healthy human brain. But which one do we want to choose? Which one do we want to claim? Which one do we want to hold on to?
Yeah, what kind of that clicked a little bit more for me there when you said it's like that saying, like, what you resist persists. Like you said, the thoughts come in, and the way I think about it is going to then dictate my emotion, which then dictates my action. So sometimes it's like maybe what's happening, right? Again, like you said, it's like instead of it happening to me, it's happening for me, right? And instead of resisting it, like you said, work with it, and like
huge. I mean, that is one of the biggest shifts that I work with people around is moving from victim mentality to ownership mentality. And when we can start to navigate and negotiate, where am I taking on victimhood? Where am I creating, where am I putting on the pair of glasses, the lens of victimhood? And how can I just physically take those off? How can I say, like, this is happening to me is victim language? And to get to this is happening for me is like Jedi mind tricks. But even to just say, like, I don't have to allow that to dictate how I want to respond. And the minute we can get to this is happening for me, the world changes. Our whole experience of our life changes, because we can use every single thing that happens to us for our growth, our healing, and our upliftment. That is Jedi. That's a Jedi power. That's power.
So I want to tap into your Jedi powers here. Literally what you just said right there. Can you speak now? And this will be my last question for you.
Right.
Can you just speak on how overcoming resistance can develop resiliency so that somebody can then face larger challenges down the road in their journey?
I love that. I think that's such a good question. I just was able to work with some clients around this, and it was really fascinating. I really believe one of the core pieces here is developing a trusting relationship with ourselves. That we can build the muscle that says, what I say that I'm going to do, what I commit to, I will do. And when that is the muscle that when we practice it in small ways, will get bigger and bigger and bigger. One of the tools I love the most is minimum baseline. So a minimum baseline is the smallest level of commitment that you can make, that you promise to make for a period of time. And if you want to do more, you can, but you say, no matter what, I'm going to do it for this small possible amount. So, the gym is such a great example. And I'm just as, like, I do this, I make so many mistakes on this for myself, but like, I'm going to work out 5 days a week for 1 hour. And then I work out no days a week for no hours, right? That is way too high of a minimum baseline, way too high. If I say to myself, I am going to go and I'm going to work out I'm going to take a walk around my block 1 time every single day this week. I'm going to take a 10-minute walk every single day this week. If I'm able to do that, I can test it. I can know that's a minimum baseline that I can work with, right? Because maybe if I say, look, I'm going to do 10 minutes, but if I do 15, great. Doing 10 is way better than doing none, right? It's exponentially better than doing none. And from that small trust of like, I said I was going to do it and I did it. We sort of surprise ourselves. We're like, oh my gosh, that was in me. Look at me, right? And so we're building this muscle. And the way I apply it with some of my creatives is like, when we say we're going to do something small, it can even be something for ourselves that we really enjoy. Like, I'm going to celebrate a win this week. I'm going to get myself a mocha. We're going to go out, we're going to go to my nice coffee shop, and I'm going to get myself a mocha. If I don't do that, I establish that I can't trust my own word. But if I do that, then what I then can say is, and tomorrow, when I'm going to send that scary email to that agent, I'm going to do that. I'm actually going to follow through on what I say. We have a little bit of a beep. Hold on 1 second. Woo! The truck driving by. And that truck is establishing trust that he knows that if he drives past today, he will also drive past tomorrow. No, but just to loop that back. The same muscle.
So, Lynn, can I interrupt you real quick?
Please.
So I just love how that truck just went by you, right? And you had the choice to respond one way or another. And you chose the way that you responded, right? And here we are, we're continuing to move forward here, right? There's a little resistance there from nature, from the environment, but
a circumstance happened, right? A circumstance happened, and I can think to myself, oh my gosh, oh no, this is so embarrassing. I'm doing this interview from my garage. If only I had a real office. If only, right? I could make a whole story about how this was not okay, right? And there was a little bit of a moment like, oof, is it going to get worse? Should I stop? And I'm like, you know what? This is happening. And that's okay. Life is not perfect. Sound issues happen. Technology glitches happen. It's not going to take away any of the good stuff. And you know what? I think what would be best is a pause. All right, let's pause. And now I can start again, slowing down, right? Not slowing down, not needing it to be perfect, recognizing that the circumstance might be out of my control, but how I respond to it is in my control. So look at that, using that for our growth, healing, and upliftment.
Well, I was just about to say, literally the last question I just asked you, the next time a truck now goes by, it's going to be that much easier for you to continue moving forward with an interview or with your work, right? Because you did it before, you showed yourself that you could do it.
Yeah. Can I share one other thing? I know we're wrapping up, but this is just one thing that has just been so powerful is, sometimes we are our harshest critics, even if we are our own inner life guards also. And one of the most powerful moments came for me when I had a pretty big breakdown. And as I was looking to rebuild from this, a moment came where I had the opportunity to decide that no matter what, I was not going to abandon myself. And that decision is something I've had to come back to over and over, and it has ripples throughout all sorts of experiences. But it's when I say, I am not going to reject myself. I am not going to call myself a failure. I am not going to allow myself to hate myself. I'm going to learn to try to love and accept and care for. You work a lot with moms. I'm going to try to treat myself the way that I treat my child, right? Like do unto others as you would have them do unto you. That part of that is how would I do unto me, right? How would I want to be treating myself? We're sometimes so much kinder to others than we are to ourselves. And so, again, just as we're looking at resistance, how can we work with ourselves? How can we go to say, like, you know what? I'm probably going to fail. This is probably going to be imperfect. And even then, I'm going to love myself. Even then, I will not abandon myself. Good. That is what I'm working with, and it is saving, scary and fun, and I'm creating different results than I was ever able to create in my life because I'm coming from a place of like, you know what, it's me and I'm gonna love me and we're just gonna go for it together.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like, I don't know, it's like hard to put into words, but like when we can, like you said, you're coming from a place of love and authenticity and just being real and accepting who you are. And I am imperfect and I'm gonna mess up, and not judging, but even maybe loving yourself even more, because
I
you're giving
have
yourself
failed.
permission to continue.
Exactly. Oh, what's that? The truck is back.
Oh man. All right. Well, Lynn Downey, everybody. All right. Again, this is
Okay.
Mom's Movement and Mindset: How to Break Through Resistance and Transform Your Body and Mind. I'm Don Fisher. This has been great, Lynn. Thank you again so much for taking time out of your day to be here. This was great.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys, and please reach out to me or Work of Art Coaching if you ever need anything.
Perfect. Thank you so much.